At the beginning of the year, I was in a really dark place. I didn't want to die, but I didn't know how to live. And I know that I'm starting this in a really weird place, but there's a difference. Hear me out. I was awake and functioning and moving through my days, but internally I was so disconnected. My thoughts, they felt crowded, and my body felt restless, and sleep was inconsistent. Silence was heavy. I isolated not because I didn't have people, but because I didn't know how to ask for help or receive the help or let myself be seen. I was surviving quietly. And I didn't know it then, but the moment I stopped abandoning myself, everything quietly began to change. You see, for a long time, my mind was a war zone, and it told me stories that weren't true. These fear-filled stories and these old narratives, these things I assumed about myself, about others, and about what the future held. All assumptions. I lived inside those stories until I learned something different. I learned how to anchor. Yeah, I learned how to anchor in what was real instead of what my anxiety imagined. And I learned how to anchor in truth instead of projections, whether it was mine or anyone else's. And once I had something solid to anchor to, I stopped chasing numbness. No more drinking. Because numbness isn't peace. It's just absence. That's all it is. So I made a decision, not a dramatic one, just an honest one. I chose myself. I stopped using alcohol to escape my emotions, and I stopped reaching for relief instead of the truth. I stopped trying to silence what was asking to be felt, and instead I stayed present. Not because it was easy, and not because I suddenly felt strong, but because I finally trusted myself enough to stay anchored while they moved through me. And there were a lot of feelings. I have sat with grief, with fear, with uncertainty, with loneliness, with the parts of myself that I'd spent years and years outrunning. I didn't rush it. I didn't try to fix it. I let it teach me. And this is what I learned. Survival taught me how to endure, but anchoring in truth has taught me how to heal. And healing has taught me how to thrive. That distinction, that changed everything in my life. I didn't trade survival for thriving. I've carried survival with me, and I've built a life from a deeper, steadier foundation. This was the year that I learned how to thrive, not through momentum or excitement, but through presence, through anchoring in what is steady and what is true, what doesn't disappear when the noise gets loud. I learned how to thrive in my own company, in my own breath, and in my own being. And damn, that feels good. And something else happened this year. Something quieter, but just as important. I stopped being embarrassed by my gifts. I stopped shrinking what comes naturally to me, and I stopped running from the parts of myself that felt visible, that felt powerful or different. You see, for a long time, I confused humility with hiding. But healing has taught me this. My gifts aren't something to apologize for. They're something to steward. And when I anchored in who I truly am, I stopped abandoning what I was given. And I also want to say this because it matters so much to me, so much. I have not walked this year alone. To the people who prayed for me when I couldn't find the words, and for those who sent me the good energy and who checked in gently, who watched me rebuild slowly and still cheered, I felt your presence. And it did not go unnoticed, and I will carry that gratitude with me for the rest of my life. You're awesome. I love ya. Before I knew it, I had my life back. Not in fireworks, but in peace. Standing still and breathing deeply and feeling anchored, not because everything was perfect, but because I was grounded in what was real and I wanted to be here. I want it. This has been the hardest year of my life. But it's also been the most extraordinary, and it's been the year that has stripped me down and taught me how to live from the inside out. And here's the thing, I wouldn't change a single moment, not one, because every one of them brought me home, every one of them. And if you're watching this and you're at the end of your own hard year, where you're tired and unfinished and still becoming, I want you to hear me. You don't have to control your thoughts. You don't have to force certainty, and you don't have to silence your fear. You just have to anchor to something true and stay there. Even if it's briefly, even imperfectly. That's where the healing begins. And as this year closes and we open up a brand new 365 days, I'm not wishing for an easier life. I'm choosing a truer one. One where I anchor in the truth, one where I choose presence over escape, and one where I continue to live honestly, presently, and on purpose. And I know this. I thought staying saved me, but choosing myself did. Staying, thriving, living, they all grew from what I anchored to. My friend, anchor in truth. Everything else will grow from there. I hope you have a present, a peaceful, and an abundant start to the new year.